And so just keeping on.
Cool.
Awesome.
Kevin, you got anything new in your world?
I'm just busier than the gopher and soft dirt.
So Tony, before he
And
With what?
mostly leather, processing leather. We have a lot of leather to process. It's coming in all the time, going out all the time. And it's good if someone makes sure that what's coming in gets put into the right places and transformed into the right products and, organized and made so that it's fit to sell.
So I know that we have a lot of leather now, so we might have some deals on some bundles coming up.
A lot of leather now. We
Well,
had a lot
I mean-
of leather then. But yeah, we're in the process of redoing some of our leather bundles. Leather bundles have been extremely popular over the years. And as it's easy for me, I don't know about you all, but it's easy for me to get into a rut with, doing the same thing over and over again. So we want to kind of break out of that. We're going to redo some bundles and freshen them up, like Rusty says. And then there's a new one coming out, which I'm really feeling pretty good about because the price is just extremely friendly. Just extremely friendly. I think people are going to be able to buy this leather for 84 cents a square foot.
Wow.
And they'll get, on a bad day, they'll probably get 50 feet of leather. On a good day, it might be 60. So,
Depending on how generous Kevin is feeling that day.
well, a lot does depend on how I feel that day, because sometimes,
Or if the leather's nicer than it was the day before, if you've got kind of some better leather, you might get a little bit less footage, but the
Well,
leather's
though,
maybe a little bit better.
the way I think is funny because I really do want somebody
Just
to.
admitted it.
I know, I seen it. I seen it. And I think that was recorded, right?
Maybe I shouldn't have came here. The way I think is I want somebody to get one of our bundles and open it up and say, holy crap, I need to tell Bob Smith about this. And that's what I want them to do.
Uh-huh.
And so I assume, probably incorrectly so, that the people that buy a bundle kind of have some idea of square footage.
Okay, sure.
And so,
That's
like in
fair.
this new bundle, for instance, at 84 cents a foot, you're not going to get the most glorious $5-6 a foot leather all throughout that bundle.
Mm-hmm.
As a for instance, you'll probably get some kid skin that's $3 or $4 a foot
Mm-hmm.
in reality, and would cost me $275 to buy it per foot. And you're going to get some of that. And you're going to get some cowhide that's worth some money. And you're going to, but in one of those instances where I tell you you're going to get at least 50 square feet, for instance, and I send 60,
Mm-hmm.
that 10-foot piece that's extra might only be half good.
Okay, sure.
So I just assume that people are going to be able to relate to that and say, hey, thanks.
Right.
I hope.
So the world that I come from with materials, framing materials and wood packages, you can buy packages like Meeks or Home Depot or Lowe's. They'll bundle up a package of materials and sell you that bundle. And it's up to you to be that kind of a discerning person and think about what you can do with it. Look at it and realize that there's going to be some of this that I just don't really want to mess with on this project.
Yeah.
But boy, you know what? I had that here, and it was pretty handy there when it came in, and I just had that one little bitty piece. But so I think the bundles are
It's
people that buy those are thinking.
We're fortunate in that over the years we've accumulated so many different ways of selling leather. Like we sell on Liz's online stuff. We sell leather to various inmates in different types of prison facilities across the country. We sell on retail on the floor. We sell mail order online. We sell in bundles. We sell on and on and on and on. And when we get in these substantial lots of what we call odd lot leather, like that last time you bought 100,000 square feet from a company, and there's leather in there that you can throw away pretty easily with a good conscience. You can just put it in the trash. But when you find a piece of leather that's maybe 8 square foot, but only 1 foot is any good, there are other things that we've been able to do as well. We've been able to put together some packages and send them out at no charge to an institution that is making children's gifts for the holiday season.
We have a elementary that just contacted us, and they're wanting like K or first through six, I think. They're wanting craft goods for things like that. And I was thinking of that Lear scrap. Some of that scrap will be easy to work with. It's not going to be firm, but a lot of that, it's a lot of fun to be able to do that. So that leather has a place everywhere.
And when you tell them right up front, you're going to get some good leather here. You're also going to get some really bad leather. Throw the stuff away that you don't want. Be happy for the good stuff.
Or give it to your kids and let them do whatever with it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's
Take
what
it
I
to
do
the
with-
local Boys and Girls Club and
You got to
have a
get you
good time.
got to get it into their hands, though. And so what you don't see is good. I mean, for people that don't like brands, I'm just like, I don't get it, man. Some of those brands are uber cool, or the shoulders, where you see the markings and things, and so
Listen, I
all
try to
it has
promote those
use.
as much as I can.
yeah, all
I
it
think
has
it's
is
the
a different
best.
use.
Well, the times that people, I shouldn't even talk about that. Returns on leather. We get returns every single day.
As does everybody.
Yeah, we ship out so many orders. There's just no, and plus a percentage of them goes to people in prison. So they're going to be, John Smith got kicked out of the craft.
So I was going to say, if he's still there,
Or the craft shop's closed. Like
Yeah,
that's a
right,
situation
especially
that
through
was-
COVID. Yeah.
And as many orders as we ship, we screw up once in a while. We might ship something to the wrong address or whatever the case. We get stuff back. And sometimes we get veg leather back that just kills me. And exotic leathers, we got one, an alligator, a caiman skin back here a few weeks ago. The guy got the first one, and man, that was totally our fault. It was I don't know how he got
I think
sent.
we talked about this
Yeah, we
before.
did.
Because the one with the hole, he was worried about the hole.
Yeah.
Yeah, we did.
Sent him a really grade A nice one that's got a hole in it where the gator poops and he complains. But anyway,
So that
It's really
that,
stuck in
that
our minds
sentence, that sentence right there, he complaining and pooping. I mean, anyway, so we do get those back.
Yeah, see, Michael said even bad leather is good for sewing practice.
Right?
Absolutely.
Well, so
You gotta
hey,
test out your
check this
machine.
out. I don't know that we've ever said this to anybody, but we provide the leather that leather machine cuts up and sews their stuff on.
Yeah, so
on their,
anytime you get
when they're dark upholstery hides, that leather all comes from us. Point is they say, hey, we need something dark in color, about this weight, cheap.
Yeah.
Perfect. That is a perfect way for us to be able to take leather that we don't want to mess with or that somebody else doesn't want to mess with. They can take it. They're going to cut it up into small pieces, and then they're going to sew on it to make sure that their machines are right.
So every machine that goes out has a little 2-3 inch square of leather under it.
You know what we should do? We should get a hold of David and see if we can get our name stamped. No,
And they're going to make us do that.
maybe not.
Well, back to the whole how I got my daughter interested in leather is my veg tan scraps. I give her some old stamps and
Sure.
just let her go to town on it,
Yeah.
and then give her some paints and let her paint on it, and let her just get a feel for it. Get it in their hands.
Get it in their hands.
Yeah, absolutely.
And even when we buy leather, if you want to sell a person a piece of leather, they need to touch it. They need to hold it. They need to feel it. So, even when we buy leathers, do you have a cutting?
Yeah.
Now, how long have you been holding on to this cutting? Because has it always been this soft? Has it always been this oily? But got to get it in their hands. And so when you can,
Can we use this to provide some education too?
Absolutely.
hey, you know what? We're in charge. We can do anything we want. Right here, the
That
four
is
of us,
true.
we got this.
Well, that's kind of cool. I had an educational thought, but I'm not sure it's still with me anymore.
Well, we got them.
We made room for it and it left.
All right, well, maybe it'll come back to you.
Well, we can say if it comes back, write it down, and we'll bring it up.
Yeah, I will. I've got a couple things
Or blurted out.
going on today that I've just got to take care of. So I just got to make sure. I got a lot going on in my head. The thing I was thinking about is when somebody asks us, do you have this or that leather? And the answer is no. We sold it. Well, I got it from you guys, 3 years ago or whatever.
on a Saturday afternoon.
I ordered it out of your catalog, and happy days. I'm happy for you. I'm sorry I don't have the leather. Well, can you still get it? That's that's an answer that's full of so much stuff that it's just hard to communicate. So maybe I could do that here. Yes, I can get leather. I can get almost any leather that you could possibly ever want. But there's questions that come into play, and I'm sure you know.
Oh, I got one for you.
Okay, first, go ahead.
Well, can you use a full drum load?
I was going to word it differently. I was going to say, how much leather do you want?
Yeah.
Well, I'd take a whole side.
Yeah.
Yeah, and how many sides go into a drum load of chrome tan?
Chrome tan, depending on the weight, you're going to be anywhere from 28 to 3,200 feet.
Yeah. So, therefore, yes, I can get it for you if you'd like 2,000 feet. We'll just say that. Be kind. Well, most people don't. Well, how did you get it in the first place? Well, we bought it from a factory that went out of business, and they had 5,000 feet laying there that they couldn't use anymore. So we bought it at a good price and passed it on at a good price. That's part of the answer.
Or we bought it from a tannery and we stocked it, and then it just didn't sell that quickly, and so we decided we're like, okay, well, we tried that leather, but then to buy more, we then have to place another order with the tannery, get that much in again.
Yeah,
So-
and it's the same thing. I've been buying this leather from you guys forever, and I really like it. It's perfect for what I do. I want to make a new product, and I need to buy it in red. Can you guys get it for me in red? Yes.
Which red? Which red?
Yeah, it goes back to the same issue. And that really is another layer of difficulty, because what you said is exactly correct. Which red do you need?
Mm-hmm.
There's good reds and bad reds, and boy, you don't want a bad one.
Nope.
And so, do you have a sample? Yes, I do. And it's as big as a business card, which is worthless to us, worthless to a tannery. And then if you get a big enough sample and you send it to the tanner, and he makes this red leather that's exactly like this, and he sends you a sample skin or 2 or 3 or 5, whatever he's tanned, takes him a while to get this done, and you say, well, it's just not going to cut it. We look at it and say, that's just not like the sample. This guy that needs this, he's got to have it right. Okay, they try again. It's still not right. This is not uncommon, folks.
Oh, no, and this is a 2 or 3
Very
month
common.
process.
And what's even worse is that when you finally get a sample that's right, and it looks good, and it's beautiful, and the cost is okay, we will take 2,000 feet. And it comes in, and it ain't the same. People don't realize that 1 or 2 drops of a chemical can make a huge difference in the outcome of the whole entire lot and the color. It's crazy. So anyway, I just wanted people to appreciate those little things.
Well, no, that's fair.
It's not like the leather is just hanging on a rack somewhere in that tannery,
No,
that one side of red.
And if
just
it
hanging up in
is,
the
there's a
corner.
reason that it's just
Right,
hanging out
right.
there. Yeah,
Yeah.
there's.
You don't go to a tannery and just, it's like a showroom, It's
Well,
not
and
like
what I was thinking when you were talking about that too is that we deal with some companies that they offer this leather to a number of customers. They're buying directly. If a number of their customers don't buy it, but you buy some, they may discontinue that because you're not providing
Not
enough sales for them. So you have a different layer there where you're not even in control at what you're carrying, because you're not in control of what's available in that situation. Now, a lot of that for us is more on our high embossed. On your high embossed and specific leathers, those fashions change so fast. What is it, Aztec looking?
Mm-hmm. Yep, that's what's in right now.
Right at this very moment. And so sometimes by the time you get, and I mean, come on, we are in the middle of this country, so we're not the fashionistas that we might.
we're a year or two behind.
Yeah, so sometimes, by the time you get it, it's already kind of halfway
out.
through
Yeah.
its cycle, and so there's so many variables that come with what you carry, what you don't carry, and then how it is
And
available.
along with that, one of the hard things it would be good for our customers to appreciate is what we have to go through to establish a good relationship with a tannery.
Mm-hmm.
Because boy, there's tanneries out there
There's all the
worldwide. They're one around every corner. But the ones you can trust and deal with and really have faith in, they're scarce.
And that just goes back to, like you were saying, they might discontinue a line and we might not know that.
Right.
That's why communication is so important in a relationship with that tannery, because they can be like, hey, if you guys buy more, we're not going to discontinue it. Or
What you also find out too, Kevin made the comment, there's tanneries. I mean, there's tanneries everywhere. There's tons and tons and tons. It's pretty easy in this day and age to get on the internet and make yourself look like more than you really are.
Yeah.
And so when we went to Leon last year, it really was an eye opener for me because he had made comment. We were buying from a gentleman, and I think we still do. Kevin made comment. He says he's making this in his garage. And so when you said around every corner, I'm like, or in every garage, and you just don't know for sure. Now, don't get me wrong. Some of those have turned out fantastically, but some of them not so much. And so being sure that you have spent the time to vet out that tannery and know that you're dealing with somebody that is going to, because ultimately
Consistent.
we're the in that situation, we're the middleman between the tannery and the customer. And so it's our job, just like if we had an agent, to vet that tannery out and make sure that what we promise our customers is going to be what we can get.
Yeah, and really the end goal is to, make it so that we've got something that our customers can use. Of course, that goes across the board, whether it's buying leather or glue or hardware or anything. We try hard to have something for everyone.
Well, and we try hard to make sure that we've done enough research on it to know that we're comfortable backing it.
Including even going there, including those site visits and those showing up and being like, hey, here to see the tannery. Well, it's my garage.
Yep.
Welcome.
Yep.
Yeah.
Well, and hey, here's the thing. As long as you can produce what we need and
Well, speaking of garages,
Uh-oh.
I remember you telling me a story of you making some wild interiors back when you first
I made a lot of them.
were looking to buy all the inventory here and start up Springfield Leather.
Well, one way you might put that too is when you were looking to offset your income and then found yourself in a place to have to buy Springfield. Not to have to, but have the opportunity.
You had to do something.
Yeah.
So what was that process of, going through buying the inventory from Tandy and then starting Springfield Leather? I mean, there had to be so many emotions and just ideas behind it.
When you're 50 years old, it's not like you can just run out and get a job somewhere. At least at that time, it was more challenging. So we knew when they announced that they were going to close the store chain that we had to do something because it was going to go away. And I wasn't too fired up about going to Lowe's. I probably could have got a job there, but I just don't know everything about anything about construction or whatever.
I was thinking that was going to be a terrible idea.
I mean, he could work in the lawn and garden sector.
Yes, very, very proficiently.
Lawn and garden.
Very proficient.
Yeah, but I liked leather and I liked leather work. So, and my store, the store that I ran for Tandy here, was profitable, and it was a no-brainer thing to me. And so, considering the money that I had saved up in the IRA through the contribution that Tandy was making out of my check, I just decided to ask them, if this was possible. And to my surprise, the president of the company, whom I knew really well, he said, yes, it is definitely possible. But he said, if you want to do this, you have to do it like now, like yesterday, like tomorrow. You've got to do it right away because everything is changing day by day. The company that was in charge of liquidating Tandy Leather, all the products, they would say you can do one thing this day, but you can't do it tomorrow. You can do one thing a week from now, but you can't do it today. And on and on. So at any rate, I found out what I had to do, and it was very surprising to me that all I had to do was buy the inventory. And once I bought the inventory, the business was mine, and I would have to keep on paying rent to the landlord that Tandy was paying rent to, which was okay. And we made the deal. They sent me what I needed, and they told me, look, you've got to have a certified check here in this amount by Friday. I think that was like Tuesday. Yeah, no kidding. Well, I went to the bank Tuesday afternoon, and I talked to Susan Lassiter, who's no longer there, and I explained why you needed to give me this amount of money. And she was a little hesitant, but she said, well, it sounds like you've got it all in order here. It sounds like this is a good deal. We can take a second mortgage on your house and do this and that and the other thing, and plus we can use the inventory sort of as collateral, even though you're going to be selling it. And well, it touches base on what we talked about before about relationships. At any rate, to make a long story short, they gave me the money. I sent the check. Kabang! They sent me a check back. I don't know how they, or not a check, but a paperwork to sign and everything. And I sent that check in the afternoon next day, and I got the paperwork the next day back to sign. They said, you got to do this, got to be done. So I did. And they said, congratulations, Kevin, it's all yours.
Wow, you did the whole thing in like a week.
Yeah.
Well, when it finally got to it, yeah, because I had to think about it I had known for 3 weeks to a month they were going to close it.
Right.
But they weren't just running out and saying, close your doors. They were telling, you stores up here start doing your liquidation, and you stores over here start doing yours on this date, and you guys start doing this on this date. Well, I was going to be last.
Like kind of chain reaction.
So you had
I was selling
opportunity
a lot
to
of stuff.
Yeah.
So I had opportunity to think.
So did you come up with the name by this point, or
No.
Yeah, how did you and Becky do that?
Yeah.
I did. I had no clue about what I was doing. You know, I've always been a business person, but never on a formal level. And so I was told, you got to have a banker. Bank told me this. You've got to have an attorney, and you've got to have an accountant. And so I went to an attorney, and he said, what can I do for you? And I said, well, I'm starting a business. I'm not sure what you can do for me, but whatever it is, we need.
I can use it. Whatever it is, I can use it.
So that's when we did our incorporation. And he said, what do you want to call the business? I thought about Kevin's Leather, you know, but that's kind of tacky and what have you. And
I'm really glad it's not Kevin's Leather.
We called ourselves K&B Leather. And there was a little more to it. Lindsay wants me here.
You can tell Lindsay that you're in the middle of a thing.
Lindsay, I'm on the roundtable discussion.
Everybody say hi
Hi, Lindsay.
No worries.
to Lindsay. She's on a video.
Yeah, we got her on video one way or the other. We got her on video.
I was just saying, you tell her you're on a video and she'll take it right up.
Yeah, that'll stop that.
Can I get mine on speaker?
So anyway, we called ourselves K&B Leather, an authorized Tandy leather dealer.
Okay, that's really long.
That's what he said. But I was, in my questionable wisdom, I wanted the name Tandy on there.
Yeah.
So that's what we were. We were Tandy. Well, some years later, Tandy was, after they'd gotten sold to the leather factory, what was left of them, you know, they were sold, the leather factory bought the name. They came to me and said, you know.
It'd be nice.
Hey, that's our name now.
Well, they had told me it was okay.
Oh, okay.
They had told, because, at any rate.
And then they took it back.
As time passed, and they were losing customers hand over fist to me, and they didn't like that. And they came to me and talked to me and said, you know, we're just not going to be able to do this anymore. You need to take that word Tandy off of there.
Yeah.
I'll do better than that. I'll take this whole thing off of here and just change it and make it just Springfield Leather. And they said, well, we're not going to sell to you on the same level that we were before either. I said, you really shouldn't do that. You know, I can buy stuff cheaper than from you, but it's more hassle. I'd rather just drive across town, buy it from you. Hey, it's good for both of us, so we win. Well, this is the way it is right now. I said, okay, but that's something you're probably going to regret. And that's when we started developing serious relationships with tool makers, leather tanners, the veg tanners especially, because I was buying a lot.
Is that when you drove up to Herman Oak and you said, "Hey, Shep, old buddy, old pal, we should be old buddy, old pals"?
That was at some point in there. I don't remember when, but
Yeah, no, that I remember when they came in and they're like, "Hey, we're just not going to sell to you as a distributor." Okay.
All right.
And then I remember, what was it, 3 or 4 years later, they come
came
back and said, "Hey, how about you sell as a distributor?" And I'm like, "You see that little thing sticking out of the water? That's where you sunk that ship, right there, right there in the harbor."
so anyway.
But at any rate,
Yeah, it was an interesting time. And there was, a lot of thoughts and decisions. And when Rusty came on, he helped with a lot of that. There was and Liz, Chris, it's just gone forward.
Mostly you.
You haven't helped all those years.
I haven't. I mean,
Chris just did beans
2
for a
years.
long time.
Yeah.
Doesn't matter.
So, Rusty, you've had your own businesses in construction too. So, what coming on with Kevin in this whole endeavor, what were your thoughts, feelings, emotions, kind of?
well, I remember, 07, 08 economy did its thing, and I've known Kevin,
Long time.
27, 28 years, and we've always been friends. And so, when the economy was going down, we'd go over and,
Wasn't a lot of construction.
Yeah.
too.
yeah, well, we'd go over and eat cheese dip and talk and watch MASH or Dean Martin or something dumb, and he's like, "Hey, why don't you come to work for me?" And I'm like, "Hey, that sounds terrible." I was like, "What would I do?" And you can work on retail. And I was like, "Oh man, I don't know how to do retail. I've never done retail." But you find out pretty quickly that if you own your own business and trying to sell yourself, you've done retail. You've just done it. You've done it in the field, But it was an adjustment because I'd always worked for myself in the world of construction. But there's a lot of similarities with the way that the materials work and that they're raw materials and that they're natural products. And one thing that I really have always enjoyed is the way that you can use, wood and leather interchangeably together, whatever, but the construction aspect of it is still there. You have to think your way through a project, and it's no different if it's a house or if it's a knife sheath. You have to think about what you're going to have to do on the next step. And so in actuality, the 3.5, 4 years that I spent on retail are some of the most fun I've ever had working here. And that's because I was working with customers one-on-one, and it wasn't like I didn't have one big project where I'm going to be dealing with this customer for the next 6 months. I had 6 customers in an hour,
In various stages of the project.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
And so I don't care if you believe them or not, but whoever it was that was smart enough to say that the teacher learns more is totally on, because you have to start to think the way that person thinks so that you can communicate the way that they need you to communicate. And,
Get them through a project.
And get them through a project.
Yeah.
And I've got some great memories, and we've got some great customers that started out as kids in 4-H, or even ones that Kevin taught in classes that come in, And the gratification that comes along with that is much more gratifying than seeing somebody 10 years after you built them a deck.
Yeah.
Right.
Because 10 months after you built them a deck, it's already shrank, and now they're mad because you got gaps, and But 10 years, it's like, all right, So
Right.
that I enjoy quite a bit.
Well, and it is so rewarding to see a customer go from like a beginner, no matter where they're at, to quitting their job, doing it as full time, and going and like knowing that you kind of had a part of like helping this person
We've had
to build a really fulfilling career. And it is like working retail is
Every
one of
day.
the most,
It-
even on the phones. Phones are freaking stressful, and doing it through COVID was no fun.
This girl can attest to that.
Me and Lindsay, we got it done. But like just having that really personal experience with every single customer, because this is unlike any other retail sales job that you could have, like the relationships that you can build with people, and how you can just see the growth, and you can see somebody becoming, like just watching somebody start their own businesses and being a part of that is a really exciting thing, and it's really fulfilling.
And what Kevin mentioned about the relationships with your vendors is very, very similar to the relationships with your customers, because nobody wins without those relationships
Absolutely.
back and forth.
Sure.
You know, and so if you don't create a good relationship and be a good customer to your vendor, then you're going to be a terrible vendor to your customer no matter what, because you're not giving it on both ends and receiving it back, because that's where that really comes full circle.
Yeah, definitely.
I've had people still to this day, they come in the store and they're leather workers. They're maybe not doing leather work full time, but they're doing leather work a lot to augment their income. They have a shop now and they're doing whatever. And they'll still remind me and say, Kevin, I took your advice some years ago, and I got to tell you, that was the best advice I ever had. What's that? And I said, well, I went to buy my first sewing machine, and you said, don't buy a used one, buy a new one.
Yeah.
And, you know, that little piece of advice has turned out to help a lot of people over the years. Of course, it's not a hard, fast rule, but it's one thing
Yeah.
that was heartfelt. And people can sense when you really want to help.
Yeah.
You're concerned. You want their business to work. And Springfield Leather tries to convey that.
Yeah, and it's even more along the lines of, like, you know, project management and construction. You know, you're thinking 10 steps ahead.
Yeah.
And you got to line, when you go to, you know, rough out a house, you got to line out wherever your electric, plumbing, everything's going. But bringing that into leather, like making a nice sheet, you're kind of overviewing, or you're overseeing what that customer you're helping
Right.
with.
Just anything, building a bag,
Yeah.
building shoes, for Pete's sakes, or a saddle. Like,
So, you know, when you do that and they come in and they're like, oh, it's terrible. And you look at it and you're like, looks like a pretty good first attempt, you know?
Yeah.
And so what I really enjoy or have enjoyed in the past is, does it work? Oh yeah, no, it works great.
Well,
Do you like it? Oh, I'm thrilled.
yeah.
just like you can clean up the edges, you know, like that's like you can just keep
Yeah.
improving. on
There
the
is
process,
nothing
but-
more satisfying than using something that you've made or wearing something that you've made, you know.
Yeah.
I mean, to be able to make and Chris has made shoes. I've made shoes and
He
boots.
doesn't wear them.
He not anymore, but he did. He did. And you know, to just be able to do that and then wear it and have somebody else see what
Yeah.
you've done.
Yeah.
You know, and that's what the best way to get new employees excited is
Make
what would you like to make? Well, I'd like to make a wallet. Okay, here's the materials. Here's all the stuff. I'll help you do it. You can have it. I want you to make it. Man, they'll come back so excited. And the next thing you know, you're selling the exact products that they made that wallet with. You're just selling them. And you're like, why are we selling them? Because they're excited about what they're doing.
Sure.
They're excited about being able to teach somebody else how to do it. And
Yeah, I mean, for me, when people say, "Did you make that?"
Right.
I'm like, "Yeah." I mean, they're like, "Oh, okay." Well, like, it gives another, like, I don't know. It's like a different level. It's not like, "Where'd you buy that?" It's
Right.
like, "Did you make that?" Yeah,
well, and so like you walk in, I wear cowboy boots, and they walk in, they're like, "Hey, did you make those?" I'm like, "Obviously, you didn't see the shoes I did make."
So, all right. Well, maybe let's kind of touch on, since we're kind of in the past a bit, how has this industry kind of changed in the last 10, 20 years? 25 years since you started the business next year.
Hugely
So-
changed. It was all old people. It's not old people anymore. I mean, there's some.
Why is that?
Well, I think in part, I think that people like us have had a share in contributing to that change, because business-wise, we want more business. Business has to grow, or it's going to die. It's that simple. So, for my personal way of thinking, leatherwork had to change in that it can't be all about stamping saddles anymore. And that was everybody's dream, was someday I'll make a saddle, and you know, and
Who rides horses?
yeah,
I've ridden a horse twice in my life.
from the
That's it.
70s or before, from the 60s up until the late 90s, it was all about tooling and saddle work and doing this and that, making a tooled handbag, making a tooled belt, making everything. Now, granted, people did other things. They made chaps or shaps, whatever you want to call it.
Depending on your horse.
Yeah, but it was very much equine
Yeah.
oriented. Well, in the very late 90s, and from that point until right now, we really worked hard to encourage people to use leather that they weren't going to tool. Part of my leather demonstrations at the end were, hey, if you make a belt and you think you screwed it up, dye it black and give it to Dad. He's going to wear the belt. He'll love it because you made it for him. And as we progressed on, you couldn't go into a leather store for a long time and you could not buy a finished belt. You couldn't buy a finished wallet. Well, we fixed that because immediately you could come into Springfield Leather and buy a wallet or a finished belt. And the gradual changeover of customers, or perhaps increase of new customers, were associating themselves with things that the leather industry had not really generated. And that was handbags, basically handbags and accessories.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And a lot of other little things as well, but making really nice accessories out of leathers that you didn't have to tool.
Right.
By the time I came to work here at Springfield Leather, it was evident. It was in full transition, And what's been interesting is watching it go kind of back the other way, and then a combination of the two, where you still end up with the tool. Nancy Cutbirth, her chaps. Those are usually, the yokes are hand tooled, gorgeous, beautiful, and then it's paired with some miracle upholstery leather, just glorious glovey leather,
She was here yesterday, did you know that?
No, I did not. She came up from Texas to see us. She gives me a hard time. She texts me all the time.
Yeah.
Hey,
She said to say hi to
she
you.
said she would buy me a beer the next time we seen each other. I'm just, I don't know if we're looking at that camera or not, that one or that one or that one, but anyway, so that was in full swing, and we've seen a lot of that.
Sure, it's almost like the way I think about it, it's like these two waves. You have the wave of the new kind of people that are using leather in different new ways, like Liz's lapels. That's a
Still cool,
I think about something that really played into that was the fact that early on we became the first. For a long time, it was the only company that would sell somebody a piece of that side over there. Yeah. And how many customers do we have? Young ladies that are in college, they come in with their parents, and I need 2 feet of that and 3 feet of this. I'll take a whole half side of that. I'd like 10 feet of this. And they're making clutch purses with a wrist strap. They're making this, that, and the other thing.
Earrings, bracelets.
Well, we're in a spot where we have a lot of colleges in this town. Then we're just north of North Arkansas, and then Oklahoma and Columbia. We have a lot of that fashion design. We've even had fashion groups come through and do tours.
Yeah, I was talking to a customer last week, I think, and he was doing it all in his dorm room.
Yeah.
He was making these bags and wallets and stuff in his dorm room. Just has his online shop. And I said, "Well, did you grow up doing leather work?" No, I just kind of got into it.
Well, in the advent of Etsy and your online sales and allowing
outlets,
because before, who knew how to build a whole website, or did you want to build a whole website?
Well, and then how do you drive traffic? And
exactly. So now we have Squarespace and we have Etsy, where Etsy is somewhere that you can go and you can post. You can just start up. You can post a couple of things. You don't have to have a whole website. You don't have to do that. Social media allows you to get your personality out there. You can meet your customers. You can generate a good relationship with your customers through social media. And so the advent of those kind of things has really helped to drive those small shops and the people that want to buy just a couple feet of leather to make
that's a really good
and
point,
then move on.
because social media has had a tremendous impact there. Again, it goes back to that ability to buy a small piece of leather, because those people didn't ever know you had to buy a full side. They just assumed you look at leather and you buy.
Do you
a
have a
piece
disclaimer
like
that all these random noises are the dog? Is there some sort of disclaimer that says Rusty's stomach isn't growling?
But anyway, that really has made a difference. And
Yeah.
after a period of time, we saw some companies try to start to be able to offer smaller pieces of leather, and
That's a hard switch to flip.
it's a hard thing.
I mean, it's hard for us.
I'd like our customers to know that. It's very, very hard to do that.
It's not a hard switch to flip. It's a hard one to keep on.
That's really accurate, because you're always going to lose money.
Yeah.
Because at least on what you're doing on that particular aspect of the business, you're going to lose some on a side because nobody can cut leather better than me or you or that person. The customer comes in and the first thing we want to do is say, I need 2 square feet of this. Okay, that'll mean I have to cut it about right here, and that's about 2 square feet. Oh,
Yeah.
what does it look like 2
The
square?
one I like is no, 2 foot by 2 foot. That's 2 feet.
Yeah.
That's 4 feet.
We've had leather returned, to us. So I ordered 8 square feet of leather, and I only got this bit. What's not even 4 feet long.
Yeah,
Well, and I think that goes back
it's an
to
educational process.
being able to do that for our customer, having the square footage that we can sell, helps those people who are doing it in their garage or who are doing it.
You got to get
You know?
it into people's hands.
Yeah, exactly.
So if you want to get it into their hands, then you're going to deal with the problems that come along
Sure.
with that.
And
Yeah.
And that's the goal. They call it a loss leader at the grocery store sort of thing.
Yep.
But that's your goal, is to get it into the hand, because then I can help you to appreciate what you can do.
and we can figure out something to do with this.
Yeah.
right?
Well,
some
That's
of the
gonna be inevitably
difficulties-
generated.
Yeah.
I mean, we'll
Some of
figure
the
out something to do.
difficulties that come are you have a roll of leather and it's this nice embossed stuff and it's beautiful. And so I want 8 feet of that. Okay. Whoosh. Now you've got a piece over here that's 12 feet. And the next guy comes in, 12 feet ain't going to be quite enough. I got to have 14 feet. So you know the next side.
Yeah.
And then somebody comes in, I'd like 2 feet. So you cut it, you end up with stuff. Hence, you have
There's the right number of.
We end up with stuff.
You guys missed that. He goes, hence you have bundles.
That's right. So a lot of
That's where
times
the
when
bundles
we
come
do like an ugly bundle, for instance, I'll put a piece of $9 a foot leather in that ugly bundle because I feel really bad about this dirty, crappy one that I put in there. And, it just, they'll make their money off the whole bundle.
It's a balance.
Yeah, and it might be, a part of the neck and belly or something.
Yeah.
Or,
It's a funky shape.
yeah.
Everything, though, if the way that we do business, everything is a balance in the way that we bring you leather, the way that we provide the opportunity for you to get to the leather. We have to balance what we can do.
Right.
90% of the time, you always want to say, yes, we can do that. But those other 10%, you've got to say it. And if you don't say it on those 10%,
Yeah.
it's going to cost you more than the 90% ever would.
Absolutely.
You're going to regret it.
You got to have those hard and fast rules.
You gotta set out some parameters, but at the same time, when we have people come in and they find like a ranch hand leather, an oil tan leather, and they're like, oh my God, I love this. I want to be able to make 1,000 of these petfolios out of that. Okay, that's going to take about 4 drum loads. Oh no, I don't want to spend that much. Okay, I have an alternate thought for you.
Yeah.
We have this same kind of leather in a few varieties of earth tone. Can you work with that? Because it's only about $2.50 cheaper
Per foot.
per foot.
Yeah.
And so just trying to find that balance. And sometimes people are, no, I've got to have this consistency. Okay.
Right.
Let me do what I can do, and here it is, and that's what it is. But that balance is.
Yeah, and if you can come here, if you have the ability to come and actually shop in person, you'll find stuff. You'll find that 1.5 square feet of irregularly shaped high dollar leather on sale for far less than the square foot price because I'm tired of looking at it. I'm done. It's the same with oil tans. We accumulate small pieces. I just don't want to deal with them anymore. So we mark them down cheap. They end up going fast, and
To put them on the cart.
it works for everybody.
Yep.
We try to work for everybody.
Well, I think we're about that time, aren't we?
Yeah,
I think so,
That's
yeah.
good.
Yeah.
Well,
Yeah,
so-
Don brought up a good, like the COVID lockdown and YouTube, huge amount of interest in leather spike
Yeah,
in that
no,
time. So that was,
ridiculously.
everybody was like, I don't have anything to do.
Yeah.
Let me do some leather, which was awesome.
You can
But
look at you can search Google Trends from
Mhm.
certain time frames, like what keywords were pending. And I looked up leather the other day, and it's just
Spike.
and it's just
Yeah.
kind of goes back to
We're
normal.
back to regular times,
Yeah.
which is okay.
But
It's kind of interesting having my glasses on and actually being close enough to where I can read this. That's kind of interesting.
Oh, there's a whole monitor.
There's a whole lot of
right
stuff
in
up there.
Those are people just saying hey and commenting.
Well,
and
hey,
about the
sorry
things.
if we missed
So,
something.
no.
Thank you.
I assume Justin's got us really solidly hooked
I
in.
hope
over
we
there.
said something of interest somewhere along the way.
I think so. And Crystal, we love you. We don't mind your questions. She was worried that she was too needy, but that's okay.
Well,
And Luna got to contribute.
Yeah, Luna has
He's got a good-
contributed.
Nothing like dog farts
Yawny
and
growl.
belly rumbles.
well, on that note, Kevin, that's
All right, well.
leave it there. Well, thanks for joining us, and pop back next month.
Yeah, that's right.
We'll have some.
Okay.
And then we are back tomorrow for live shopping. So we've had a couple weeks off with Ed Labar here in town. So we will be back tomorrow, 2 p.m. Central Time on Twitch. So come live shop with us if you have been missing us or if you would like to just participate. And then Friday we will be here with trading cards. Don't forget.
Yeah.
Yep, 2 videos
Can't
this
wait.
week for Kevin.
And you've got some really cool stuff to
We
sell.
have a
live
lot
shopping.
of really cool stuff this week. I'm pretty excited about this week's live shopping. It'll be a lot of fun tomorrow. So come check it out. And then also for those of you, it looks like we had a little snafu in the beginning of the video on YouTube. So check out, what was his name again for the sale? Something.
Oh, James Cox.
James Cox. Go check out James Cox Facebook page.
COX.
He'll be hosting a leather auction, machine leather related auction
It's
here
the
at
one-
our warehouse.
I don't know if it means anything, but it's the one that was normally annually held at Veneta, Oklahoma. Yeah.
Yeah. So that will be here the end of May. So if anybody's in the area or wants to make the trip to see what kind of awesome machinery you can pick up or
Leather,
different things.
machineries, fabrics, things of that
Yeah,
nature.
all sorts of stuff. End of the month in
I'll show
May,
you that.
we
Don't
will we'll be hosting a leather auction. So just if people missed that in the beginning, and then check out this cool rock. We don't have that open.
Yeah.
No, it's go over here maybe. Yeah, this one.
That is really cool. I
Nope, this one.
cut that one when I was about
There one.
I don't know.
15 or 16. They're not going to be able to see that. But I brought it.
Yeah.
to show you
Anyways,
guys.
he cut a cool rock. It looks like some sort of Utah mountain range.
This looks like a mesa.
Yeah, that's pretty cool. He's focusing.
There we go.
Look at that.
yeah,
That's a good one.
That's a cat.
Pretty good.
It's a Kevin cat.
Yeah, that's a good one.
Cool.
But yeah, I found it in an old belt buckle that had corroded and everything else. So I took
And
it
the rock
out.
is
I'm going to
fine.
put it in something. I don't know what. But I wanted to show it to the rock people up front.
Someone said you should buy a hotel so when people travel to SLC, we have a place to stay overnight.
Well,
Oh.
you can always build.
You can stay at
Johnny Morris. Johnny Morris just bought a hotel right down the road, and I'm sure he would be happy to.
Or Rusty has a pretty good garage, I hear.
Yeah. A lot of land.
Yeah, just pitch a tent. I got space.
All right, guys.
Smoking beats. So.
Nah.
We're off, right?
We will
Thank
see you guys
everybody.
later. Have a good one. Christian Stryker, do you want to send me an email and maybe we can talk about your question there? So